In starting this new year, I bet you guys are all excited for the new games. I certainly am, so today I'll be exploring 10 upcoming games that'll be arriving in 2021. But before we jump into this list, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more content like this. Starting off at number 10, Ruined King, a League of Legends story. This new game announced under the Riot Forge label is all new single-player game set in the League of Legends universe. The Riot Forge label is a publishing label where Riot works with third-party studios, primarily for single-player games. It'll be a turn-based RPG and is built around the knowledge from the League of Legends universe, as this game will be story-driven. The plot of the story, on the other hand, is largely unclear, and the trailer's narrative seems determined to keep it that way. He reflects on the unique blend of heroes in the party and asks what brought them together. Players have the option to choose amongst League of Legends champions such as Misfortune, Ilayui, Broom, Yesu, Ari, or Pike, and visit the booming city of Bilgewater and the enigmatic Shadow Isles, as well as bravely venture into the ever-creeping Black Mist, set after the events of Burning Tides. Next to number 9, Atomic Heart. Atomic Heart is a role-playing simulation game developed and published by Russian studio Mudfish. The storyline centers around all the events that should have arisen in the Soviet Union, but did not. Robots, the internet, and holograms have also been invented, but they have all been achieved in a sense of communism, nationalism, and war with the West. The game world is divided into two sections, large open-world regions brimming with lush Soviet nature, and the facility complexes, which contain secret underground and above-ground laboratories, bunkers, and robotic logistic systems. The enemies are machines manufactured at the factory. Mudfish tend to go wild on the gameplay videos, but when they show up, they really show up. Atomic Heart gets weirder, wilder, and prettier every time we see it. Evil Dead, the game, is an upcoming video game based on the Evil Dead series. Developed by Saber Interactive and released by Boss Team Games, cooperative multiplayer and player versus player combat will be involved. It will also include several maps, including the cabin in the woods from the Evil Dead movie, as well as over 25 guns. On December 10, 2020, the Game Awards revealed the game, and on the same day, trailers were officially posted. For the first time ever, the Evil Dead universe comes together in one over-the-top encounter starring boomstick-wielding, chainsaw-wielding horror hero Ashley J. Williams. According to Boss Squad, the game takes place at the log cabin from the original 2 Evil Dead films. The main objective of the game is to try to seal the rift that has been allowing demons and monsters into the woods. The player must do this by working as a group to explore and collect artifacts in the woods. Now in number 7, Outriders. Outriders is a 1 to 3 player drop-in, drop-out co-op shooter from Square Enix, and players will fly set in the original gloomy and desperate sci-fi universe. It's an upcoming cooperative role-playing third-person video game where players will create their own character and select from 4 classes, each of which has its own set of skills. Outriders' gameplay announcement sparked comparison to other live service games like Destiny and Tom Clancy's Division. People Can Fly explained that the game is not a live service title and that players are start and end it. The game was made with cooperative multiplayer in mind, but the team has placed a lot of thought into the plot, which lead writer Joshua Rubin compares to Apocalypse Now and Heart of Darkness. The game can be played solo, but players can also complete the game together with 2 other players. Hitman III. January 20, 2021, IO Interactive announced a stealth game for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series XS, and Nintendo Switch. Following Hitman in 2016 and Hitman 2 in 2018, it is the 8th and final main installment in the Hitman series, as well as the final installment in the World of Assassination trilogy. The single-player story takes up where Hitman left off, pursuing a genetically modified killer Agent 47 and his allies as they track down representatives of the Providence, the mysterious organization in charge of the world's affairs. The PlayStation 4 version of the game provides PlayStation VR support, as well as backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 5. The VR attribute is also extended to levels imported from the previous 2 entries retroactively. There are no multiplayer modes in this title, unlike Hitman 2, with Sniper Assassin being a single-player only game and Ghost Mode being excluded altogether. Far Cry 6. Far Cry 6 is an upcoming first-person shooter game developed by Ubisoft Toronto and published by Ubisoft. The game is set on the fictional Caribbean island of Yara, which is based in Cuba and described as the biggest Far Cry playground to date, as well as a tropical paradise frozen in time. The game was originally scheduled for release on February 18, 2021, but on October 29, 2020, Ubisoft announced that the release will be delayed due to impacts from the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Ubisoft reports that many fans were willing to return to a tropical climate, which affected Yara's decision. Cuba influenced the nation's living postcard aesthetic and antique cars, according to Ubisoft. Its capital city, Esperanza, is the first major urban setting in a Far Cry game, and it'll be played differently than the previous titles. It has an Assassin's Creed feel to it. In an interview, narrative director David Cavari says, "The verticality is a total game changer. I think it's incredibly interesting and new to be able to sprint through rooftops, use back alleys, and fight against some of the toughest enemies in the game in this atmosphere. Like in Far Cry 5, you'll be able to hire buddies to run around and fight with you." Back 4 Blood is an upcoming multiplayer survival horror game developed by Turtle Rock Studios and published by Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment. Back 4 Blood has several parallels with Left 4 Dead in terms of gameplay. Both games are 4-player cooperative games with an 8-player PvP mode, with an emphasis on multiplayer and replayability. The game has been spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, as it was being developed by the creators of the original game. It features largely identical gameplay. The game takes place after an epidemic in which the bulk of mankind has been diseased or corrupted and has been converted into the Ridden. Players are thrown into a post-apocalyptic future where a group of veterans known as the Cleaners join to battle the zombies. Players will face tougher enemies with special mutations, in addition to the shambling Ridden hordes. In Back 4 Blood, player versus player mode, players will control these special mutations, and the Ridden will have their own deck of perk cards to keep the action fresh and keep the Cleaners guessing. While it seems like we've been hearing stories of a new Warner Bros. Batman game for years, it's only just been confirmed, but a release date of this year for Gotham Knight is a strong indication that production is well underway, if not nearly completed. Gotham Knight is an open-world adventure role-playing game set in Gotham City. Nightwing, Batgirl, Robin, and Red Hood are the 4 playable characters in the game. Each has their own playstyle and powers, such as Robin's ability to teleport through the Justice League satellite. In an interview with Game Radar, executive producer Fleur Marty, he said that we totally revamped the fighting structure to make it fit better in co-op. Marty explained, "Because that aspect of the game is really exciting for us. Of course, we're still a brawler, and some of the mechanics may be familiar to those who have played and enjoyed the Arkham game, but it's very different in certain aspects. In this game, Batman is no longer alive. It is now up to Batman's family, Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Robin, to defend Gotham City, instill hope in its people, discipline the police, and place terror in the criminals." LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. The 9 major Star Wars films will be covered in this game, which will concentrate on areas that haven't been converted into stages in recent LEGO titles. That includes everything from The Phantom Menace to The Rise of Skywalker, except Solo, a Star Wars story, and Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Instead, certain films can be referenced in the 6 downloadable content packs, but it's likely that these will be limited to new characters rather than stages. We've narrowed down the game's release date to April or May 2020 based on diligent deduction, although that might also change. In any case, the spring 2021 release window announced at Gamescom in August is rapidly approaching, so we're sure to hear more about it soon. Unlike previous LEGO Star Wars games, which were all based on a central core universe such as Dexter's Diner, Republic Venator, the amphibious sequel should allow you to fly around the galaxy, not the whole galaxy, but at least 23 of its planets and moons, with 28 different locations strewn about. Unlike other LEGO video games, where players must proceed through the plot in a sequential sequence, players can begin the game at any point in the Skywalker Saga and finish it in the order they choose. Lightsaber wielders now use a range of combos for light strikes, hard attacks, and power maneuvers, and blaster characters have an over-the-shoulder camera, which has been redesigned from previous games. There are 300 playable characters in the series. Resident Evil Village. Capcom is designing and releasing Resident Evil Village, a survival horror game. It'll be the 10th main Resident Evil installment and the successor to Resident Evil 7, Biohazard. There's also an online multiplayer mode. Resident Evil Village is a follow-up to Resident Evil 7, and it takes place a few years after the events of Resident Evil 7. It follows Ethan, the protagonist of Resident Evil 7, as he finds answers after a visit from franchise favorite Chris Redfield. Ethan's journey takes him to a strange and certainly creepy European village where he undoubtedly finds more than he bargained for. The storyline centers around Ethan attempting to save his daughter from a dark castle after she's abducted by Chris Redfield. Lady Dimitrescu, the giant vampire lady, seems to be engaged in some sort of scheme to stop Ethan, but it's unclear what anyone wants for his daughter. It's likely the fact that both Ethan and his wife Mia were tainted with mold, which may have been passed on to their boy, played a part. The game's release date has been scheduled for May 7th, which is a lot sooner than most people anticipated. There will now be a PS4 and Xbox One version of Resident Evil 8, which is a change from the original next-gen only update. It'll also be released on the same day, which is fantastic news because it ensures that many people will have the potential to be frightened. Those were the games that I myself have found to be the most hyped for 2021. These games are in no particular order and are available on all platforms. We would love to hear your top 10 lists in the comments below. If you like this kind of content, then please like and subscribe and click that notification bell. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.